Peace and greetings, beautiful people. What's good? It's your girl Naya here, back for another unboxing. Well, it's not really an unboxing. I guess it's more of a review or my thoughts on the New Era Elements Tarot. It's by Eleanor Pfeiffer, PhD. I'm trying a different camera angle. Back says here, uniquely relevant and accessible, New Era Elements replaces the traditional symbolism of tarot with images of 21st century global life. Piper's 4 tarot suits are explicitly connected to the 4 elements: fire, water, air, and earth, and the court cards represent 4 distinct world cultures. On the 116-page companion booklet will help the reader interpret the meanings behind each of these exquisitely drawn contemporary cards. So, first off, my deck is in here. This was a standard, I have like dark on dark stuff going on over here. This is a standard B size Arcana case from the Tarotista shop on Etsy. You guys know I absolutely love these cases, but I bought this for a different deck at some point, and then I never ended up really using that deck. So this just so happened to fit in here, so that made me happy because I actually really enjoy this deck. So the little white book is, you know, it's pretty thick for a little white book. I think this one is worth taking a look at just because the images in this deck are more modern than I don't know. Okay, so here are my thoughts on this deck, right? Let's just get going. They're not in order because I've been using it. So first of all, it is a, well, maybe they are in order, I don't know, sepia grayscale type deck. Let me see if this is gonna, so this is a grayscale sepia style deck, which I don't typically, I don't even think I really have. I think maybe I only have the Hermetic Tarot that's just like black and white or grayscale. So that's one. So the court cards, if you've seen my previous video, I kind of went through the court cards and compared them with the Rider-Waite-Smith, just for the sake of comparison. So for those of you guys who haven't seen this deck, so it does seem kind of, the court cards are very facey cards, like portrait close-up shots of the people that are depicted in these images. Esoterically, this makes sense, the way that they chose to portray each of the suits, because she's using the 4 directions for continents, and then the kind of people that you may find on those continents. So I thought it was appropriate, and there's a variety of cultures depicted on here, so I'm happy about that. Which made it, like, for me, it felt comforting, because like growing up in the city and stuff, like that's all you know is a different kind of faces. So for me, I was like, all right, that's cool, that works for me, you know. So that's one thing that I really appreciate about it, that there's like a variety that you see, young, old, whatever. Now, in the minor cards, there's a lot of nature scenes and even like animals and wildlife. So it shows wildlife. So like in this one, this is the 10 of Pentacles. Or in this case, it would be the 10 of Earth. And the title on it is Wealth. So it is a Thoth-based deck. Sorry about that. It is a Thoth-based deck. In the way that the astrological glyphs are on the minors. So you're always going to see the planet on the top corner and like the sign on the bottom corner here. Or on either side, but they're there, they're present. So yeah, so again, this deck has some really like almost modern, contemporary images on it. There's animals depicted, and you guys know that I've struggled to find decks with animals that I just automatically resonate with, and I think because this whole entire deck is not just animal based, it works for me. The scenes that some of the animals are depicted in make sense in the scheme of things, but it's not just animals, right? So you have something like Two of Wands, Dominion, or Domination. The original title would be Dominion, but this is Domination. So you see, you know, hand wrestlers, which I think is really, really appropriate. Here we have the Seven of Wands, Bravery. You know, and in the Rider-Waite-Smith, this is one where the person is like trying to hold back these swords coming from them, but I mean, that's just like a firefighter fighting off flames. Like, I think it's really beautiful the way that they did this. So there's some images in here, and I will just forewarn you that some of these images are extremely jarring. For some people, there might be one, you might like the whole deck, and there might be that one card that just turns it off for you completely. I know this was very true for somebody because of the Three of Swords. So here we have the Three of Pentacles, the Two of Swords, and you see there's like mech and technology and animals. Like, this Five of Pentacles for me was like, bro, it gave me chills. Like, there's not a lot of images that would do that for me, but because the Five of Pentacles is my son's deacon card, I always look at the Five of Pentacles to see how it's depicted, and it's typically the same most of the time, but because this one was so different, but the that feeling is the same, because, okay, so in this case, this is Mercury and Taurus, right? Mercury is quick, he's fast, he's very back and forth and communicative and has a lot of energy, put it that way. But then you have Taurus, which is a little bit more slow moving, so it's almost like Mercury feels choked up, and you definitely just see that very plain and on the surface with this image. And of course, because of the current state of the world that we live in, we can see this and our minds can go even further with it and get a little creepy with it, right? So I saw this, and like I said, it kind of gave, I had to sit with it. It made me stop. I was like, wow, that's okay. Yeah, so it is what it is. But very powerful, though. That's what I appreciate about this deck, right? There's no sugarcoating most of the stuff. What is this? The Ten of Cups here. And so something else that I like about it, right? It's just the symbols. You don't see cups written. You don't see pentacles or discs or coins or swords or wands written on the card. You just see the keyword or the title of it. You see the two astrological glyphs and the elemental glyph next to the number. So for me, I don't even look at this glyph, to be quite honest with you. Maybe I'll learn by using this deck, but I just look at the astrological glyphs and I'm just like, oh, okay, this is the, excuse me, this is the Eight of water. Jeez, water cups. You know, because this is Saturn in Pisces. yeah, this is like that one where dude walks away or whatever. But I really like this 5. I really like this 5 of swords. 5. It comes out however I'm thinking about it at the time. But I really like this. I personally really like spiders. But I think what I like about this deck and its depiction of the animals is that in most cases you kind of see them sort of in their natural habitat. So I think that's what I can appreciate about it, because it's not like all right, this one might jar some of you guys, but it is what it is. This is the 9 of swords here. So let's see if holding them like this will make it better. So I'm trying to just kind of flip through the minors here. And you see there's people, there's nature, hands. Okay, that's a major, so I was gonna go through those later. You know, more animals, 9 of cups there. The 8 of wands, very appropriate, a racetrack, I love it. So, you know, hold on. There's just a lot in this deck that's going on, and I love the fact that it's sepia and or black and white, however you want to call it, because it makes each image extremely moody in a way that it takes you in. Like, I'm one of them people, like, I'll watch old black and white movies or noir type films because it gives it a whole different atmosphere. And so I really appreciate that about this deck. So alright, we went through some of these. I'm not trying to skip through the majors, I was just trying to temperance. So you see what I'm saying? I think there's just a nice mixture of animals to like real life. Like, there's animals, there's technology, there's things going on, there's people, there's, you know, it's really a reflection of life. And I'm going to talk about this 3 of swords because, you know, this is one that bothers a lot of people. And so this is what I was saying about this deck. In my favorites, I said, you know, it depends on the person. If they want to see this particular kind of imagery, because needles are a big thing for a lot of people. Some people just don't like needles at all. Other people have been through situations where they have lost people who have used drugs because of needles or got sick because of needles. And I will tell you, I saw this card and whoa, did it just slide me back like 20 years to you know, having lost people because they did hard drugs, and there was nothing I could do to help them in that way. I didn't know at the time what I could do to help them, and you know, I lost them. And but this is a reality that exists in the world, right? We can't sugarcoat it, we can't hide it, we can't say it doesn't exist. It's there. How we deal with it is what really matters. How we talk about it is what matters. Constantly shaming someone is an easy way to make that person hurt more. When in many cases, when people are on drugs, and I'm just gonna say it like that, this is subjective, totally my opinion and my experience, is that they use drugs to numb, and it's their medication for whatever emotional pain, whatever mental, emotional, or psychological pain that they might be dealing with. Now, I'm not a psychologist, but I'm just very aware that that is the case. And it is what it is. We could just do our best to try and help people who might be in this predicament without judgment, because you don't know what they've been through. and saying the wrong thing or judging somebody for what they do is it does more harm than it does good. All right, exploration. And I just figured I'll talk about the heavy cards because this is kind of the stuff that finds me anyways. And I'm like, well, if that's what it is, y'all, if y'all ain't know me this past year, y'all get to know me this year. So here's some of the aces. Okay, I think the Death card is very beautiful. Judgment, I find it extremely interesting because there's the reflection in the mirror, in the broken mirror. And you know, a lot of people say the Judgment card is not about judgment, which it doesn't have to be, but in many cases it is. Let's just keep it real. But it's not the judgment about other people, it's how we judge ourselves in expectation of what others think about us. It's social conditioning. It's yeah, I mean, it's basically conditioning to what the status quo is and what you have to keep up and what you have to maintain. And so sometimes we look at ourselves and we think that we might not be enough, that we're not worth it, or that we're broken, or that, you know, and it's not always, that's not really the case, right? It's a perception. It's something that you need to get over. It's like, stop using that broken mirror and get a fresh mirror and look at yourself for real and think about all that you've been through. Think about all that you've accomplished. Think about all what you still have to accomplish. And understand that that status quo is there, but you don't have to be so rigid about it. You have to kind of understand why it's there and how you function in that. And then you just do you. Like, bro. I think the Fool is pretty cool. Definitely a new life journey. Starting with the Egg. I think Strength is so cute. I love it so much. I can't deal. Just, that's great. The Hangman is nothing to write home about, but it's a hangman. I particularly like the Hermit. I just think about people watching when I was living in NYC, and I love people watching. Like watching how people are dressed, how they walk, you know, if they're walking alone, you know, I'm like curious, you know, I wonder what that person been through this day, and I wonder what kind of life experience, like when I see this Hermit card, I think about what kind of life experiences do I think that this person has had, and what kind of wisdom would this person be able to teach me? Like, if he could go back and tell me a story that would help me right now, what would that be? And it comes easy just by looking at this image. So we have the Air of Fire. So all the aces are kind of the same in that they have all the glyphs for all the fire stuff, all the, what's this, all the water stuff, all the fire stuff for each of the aces. So that's cool for retention, you know. Sun, Mars, Fire, Aries. So, and they have it in order too. So you have like Aries, Leo, Sag, which is cardinal, fixed, mutable. Mars is a red planet, fiery planet, and the Sun as well. So there's that. And then for water, you have Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, Venus, the Moon, and water. And if you think about water as being, so if you think about fire being active, water being receptive, so you have Mars being the assertive, right, the masculine force, and then you have Venus being the receptive, receiving, passive force. Same thing with the Moon, but there's two dynamics between these two planets. Either way, I mean, same thing with the Sun. The Sun is also active and fiery and whatever, but they play two different functions. Same thing with Venus and Mars. Here's the universe. Adjustment. like that hanging in the balance thing. And I like the size of the cards. They're kind of like the size of Los Scarabeo cards. But the cardstock feels better than most of, at least what I've had for Los Scarabeo decks. And I know there's different kinds, but the ones that I've had in the past have been really flimsy. These feel like they would last a pretty good time. So I'm going to tell you about this Lovers card. This is not at all my favorite Lovers card. They're staring at us, and I find that awkward. I'm not gonna lie, I find it awkward that these two people are staring at me. But you know what though? Actually, now that I think about it, that Tarot de Marseille style Lovers card, there's always three people, right? And they look like there's some kind of a choice or something that has to be made. So in this one, it's kind of like you are walking into their situation and you're the odd man out and you're that third person. That's what I feel like. It's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna just back up and mind my business. But yeah, not my favorite depiction of lovers in respect to like Gemini and stuff like that. I like the Magus because he is everything that Mercury is. It is communication. So you have TV, you have social media on there, you have commerce, right? Real estate, the stock market in the background, advertisement with the Botox and what is this? I don't know what that is, but you know, and the Anchorman just selling bottled water, like 110% Mercury energy. Commerce, communication, all of that falls under the realm of Mercury, which all falls under for the Magus or the Magician. So I really like this deck because it's giving you these depictions of, yes, the tarot, but I feel like it steps away from tarot, that it allows the astrology to be more prevalent in the imagery. So there's the Chariot. There's the Chariot. So here we have the Sun with the sunflowers. I like that. The Emperor. The Hierophant. And I you know, I can appreciate that. What is going on here? The Moon is very pretty. And I like that the Moon and the Sun both kind of have like flowers along with their, like, in the sky, being in the sky. So here's the Ace of Earth. So we have this symbol, which in astrology does mean earth, even though you don't see it very often. It's not typically something you're going to see on a chart. We'll get into that way later, because it's something I definitely don't use. However, it is also the symbol of Malkuth and the Tree of Life, which is the earthly plane. Here we have Saturn, which is the densest planet in terms of traditional astrology. It's the coldest, it's the darkest, it's the earthiest. So then we have Taurus. Oh, they have these backwards. Oh, now I'm upset. Okay, I just noticed this. Really, because the other ones were like cardinal, fixed, mutable, I thought they would be cardinal, fixed, mutable, but they have it different here. Unless, yeah, they have it different here. So Capricorn is cardinal, Taurus is fixed, and Virgo is mutable. I don't know why they messed that up. Damn it, they messed up. They messed up the flow, man. Like, it threw the structure off for me now. I was like, oh, maybe I'll be able to teach with this deck, but now it's throwing it off. But anyways, here's Temperance. What the heck was I looking at before? Oh, that other one was Justice. Adjustment. Okay, yeah. Thought base. See what I'm saying? So there's Temperance, and then the other one was Adjustment. Yeah. Okay, we got it. Wheel of Fortune. I like that. Luck. The Tower. And if y'all can hear the TV, my hubby has his stereo on and he's watching. The Devil was another one that strikes a lot of chords with people because of what's shown on there. If I was a Capricorn, I wouldn't know how I would feel about that. But Capricorn is about the rise to power. It is about that. But what does that really mean? And in a mundane way, if we speak about our history, because I'm not going to sit here and not talk about things that make people uncomfortable, because that's life. Life is uncomfortable. How did that happen? It's one of those things where, you know, the truth is the truth and it can't be denied. But it is an uneasy topic to discuss. So I can see this card being a potential distraction when it comes up in a reading for somebody else. Reading for myself, not so much, because I'm choosing to understand the bigger picture, right, of how it is plainly seen in our face. But this whole the devil thing is the Capricorn energy of it is the power play of it, because in a traditional house system, I'm sorry, I'm saying that jacked up. In a natural zodiac, the 10th house and the midheaven would be ruled by Capricorn, which is the very top of the chart. So that is your career area, what you're aspiring for, like your power position in career. So when I look at this and I think about that, like all these horrible things that were done in the name of power, you see, and it like blew up so big, but so many people suffered in the process. And so what we need to be conscious of is how we deal with our own issues and ideas when it comes to being in power. What does that mean? What does it look like? What are you willing to do to get there? Because some people don't care, right? It's like power by any means. But there's this book that I read, and I will leave the link in the description box below. It's called Power versus Force. I read this book back when I was still living in Florida. But I'll never forget it. It's called Power versus Force, because there's something different about power than there is force. And so somebody trying to force you to do something may completely make you not want to do it, right? It'll make you rebel. It'll make you act like, no, I don't want to do that. You're not going to restrict me. Double reference. And then there's a power thing where somebody can ask you to do something, and you might just do it off the strength of them. So that's the power that they hold over you. But it doesn't mean that the power is innately bad or innately malicious. Okay? So I say all that to say that this card has a lot of power within it, because it is showing different facets of our history that have used force as a means of power. And so therefore, if you think about the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith image of the devil, right, with the two folks with the chains on them, what does that mean? Where are you giving your power away? And how are people forcing you to give up your power? See what I'm saying about this deck? This deck got me all kinds of open. Lord. Okay, moving on. Sorry. So here we have the Empress. Okay, beautiful, lovely Empress, and the High Priestess reading some tarot cards, because you know the secrets are in the cards. So yeah, I really I got this one on a whim. I was like, oh, that looks kind of cool. What's up with this picture and that picture? And so, like I said, there's so many. I think it varies so much between the suits and the courts that it's easy to identify how many courts you have versus how many majors versus how many minors, and etc., etc. And the size of the cards aren't bad. It riffle shuffles real nice. Oh, I love it. I don't know. I really love this deck. So I guess this is my review on the New Era Elements Tarot. This definitely made it into my top 22, which I will make a video soon about that. But it's in there. It's in that box. I have a box where I've been keeping, and like, even if I don't use this deck all the time, it's a deck that I know I'll get powerful readings from, like off rip. I just jazz with it right away. So again, this is the New Era Elements Tarot. This one is published by US Games. I didn't mention that before. US Game Systems published this, so it has that US Games cardstock that I actually like that cardstock. So thank you for watching. Much love, many blessings.